Modernization for my organization, in a lot of cases, is going to mean the movement from legacy processes, paper-based processes, manual processes to automation, things that happen on their own, electronic processes, processes that are available online.
From Tyler Technologies, this is the Tyler Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Henderson. Today's episode explores how cities are modernizing core systems, not just by upgrading technology, but by fundamentally rethinking infrastructure, workflows, and the role of automation in day-to-day government operations. Recorded live at Tyler Connect 2026 in Las Vegas, I'm joined by Mike Cook, IT Director for the city of Redondo Beach, California, an organization honored this year with a Tyler Excellence Award. Mike shares how Redondo Beach moved from aging on-premises infrastructure and highly manual workflows to a modern cloud environment, unlocking greater stability, stronger security, and the ability for a small IT team to shift focus from maintenance to meaningful modernization. We also dig into what transformation looks like in practice, from eliminating downtime risk to preparing for AI-enabled workflows and automation. Let's get right into it. Well, Mike, welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you here. And congratulations on your TEA win, you and the team.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very, very well deserved. So yeah, it's great to have you here on the podcast. Wanted to kind of start with the context with Redondo Beach. Being a medium-sized city with complex operations and a very small IT department, what were the biggest challenges you were facing with your ERP environment before modernization kicked in?
So the city of Redondo Beach was in a very interesting predicament when it came to ERP. The city had been Tyler ERP customers since 2005. We went live in 2006 initially. And, throughout the years, we did kind of the mandatory upgrades that we needed to do to keep the system going. But when I came to the city in 2023, we were literally on the oldest supported version that Tyler had available.
Okay.
And we were coming up against deadlines where the version that we were on wasn't even going to get the tax updates for the following year. At the same time, we had some interesting, non-technical things happening behind the scene. We did have COVID have a pretty significant impact on the city. The city only has an 8-person IT department, and nobody is dedicated to ERP. So the ERP is handled primarily by a single individual who also has other duties that are assigned to her.
Yeah.
So, she was just kind of treading water with the application. And then we had a number of key separations with the city. We had my predecessor, the IT director, had retired after 40 years with the city. And then we had a very sudden departure of the individual who was responsible for our server infrastructure. And it left us in a position where we had a very aging infrastructure. Our server infrastructure, the actual physical servers, were running at about 7 to 8 years old, and that's what the Tyler environment was sitting on. So there were concerns there about the longevity of the physical servers. We were also running not only the oldest possible version of Tyler, but we were also running old server operating systems. We were running old virtualization software, and we were running old SQL Server software. So we were really, really concerned about the cybersecurity aspect of it, as we knew we were on versions that, updates hadn't been sent out for years, and we were just getting by. So, we looked at it holistically, and the timing just worked out perfect that Tyler's cloud offering was, becoming to the level of maturity that we could trust it with our ERP system. The ERP system arguably is the most critical system that we have from an administrative perspective within a city. So, really, really important for the infrastructure to be robust, stable, trustworthy before we make a move like that. And it just so happened that the stars aligned for us and we were able to make that move. So we've been live for a little over a year now, but we were ultimately able to take our entire Tyler environment, move it to the cloud, get it to the latest versions, and get to a place where we are confident, stable, secure, and no longer having to do all of those manual updates. And, we used to have to work very closely with the Tyler support team on an almost daily basis for patches and fixes and server outages that were nobody's fault but the age of the devices.
Yeah.
And now we're in a place where none of that happens anymore. Things are just taken care of for us.
Yeah, that's why we're big advocates for the cloud, obviously. And you basically outlined it there as to why we are such big advocates for it. So thank you for outlining that. As you kind of looked deeper into your processes, though, how were manual workflows, legacy infrastructure, and limited staff impacting efficiency, risk, service delivery, and things like that?
So, it's one of the challenges that we're still struggling a little bit with today. I mentioned that we implemented in 2005 and went live in 2006, and I almost feel like there are certain workflows, certain departments, certain things that even we're still doing in the system today are the same workflow that we did so long ago. So I suppose what I'm getting at here is that as Tyler matured, the city did not adopt those newer workflows along with it. So we are doing entirely paper-based invoice processing and payment processing right now. You can email us an invoice, you can physically mail us an invoice. A human will then scan that manually into the system and then manually enter the data in off of it. We then, manually go through an approval process and we physically print and mail a check. And those are the sorts of processes that we are still continuing to modernize now that we've got the back end infrastructure in a place where it needs to be. We're now taking a look at those day-to-day processes that are our customers, my IT customers, my payroll department, my finance department, HR department can now take advantage of. So a lot of manual processes that we have since modernized, and we're really looking forward to some of the other Tyler products that are now coming out. Things like vendor self-service that are now available, vendor access that now have AI built in that can actually, do the screen scrape on the invoices and pull the data off of it for you. So we're no longer doing that manually. Yeah. Those are the sorts of things that we're looking forward to implementing very soon here.
That's great. And now, from an IT perspective, we hear often about, security, reliability, compliance, stuff like that as being very critical elements of it all. How has the cloud migration improved cybersecurity and system stability in your view?
So we definitely had some nail biters in our old environment. So it wasn't uncommon for us to have a relatively significant, server is down or application is down issue once a month. I would say.
Yeah.
And part of the challenge with that is it would always happen on a weekend. It would always be Tyler's support team for on-premise and implementations opens at 5 o'clock in the morning. It would always be my one ERP person waking up at 5 a.m. to call the folks on the East Coast to get in the queue to have somebody jump onto our environment.
Yeah.
It was cumbersome. It was tiring. There are multiple days where, the city's kind of at a standstill from an administrative perspective when your ERP is down. So, there were multiple days where we were working into the late morning, early afternoon, doing resolutions. And it wasn't anybody's fault. It was, the age of the software we had, the age of the servers that we had. And so with us now being on the cloud, the reliability is there.
Yeah.
And, to speak from a cybersecurity perspective, as I mentioned before, we were relying on not just a dated legacy version of the Tyler application, but a dated version of Windows Server that the servers were running on. We were on a dated version of our antivirus because they couldn't, run the most modern things. We were on a dated version of SQL Server. And because all that got lifted and shifted, the responsibility for maintaining that is no longer on the city. It's the Tyler folks doing it. And thus, those updates come automatically. And that's just a concern we don't have anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like weekends are more restful now.
They are indeed. I've got other things that I bite my nails about on Sunday nights.
Yeah, right.
It's no longer Tyler.
Yeah. The Sunday scaries are real. We can't avoid those, right? So let's talk about, the limited staff at Redondo Beach, within the IT department at least, and a single ERP administrator. How has modernization allowed your team to focus on process improvement instead of sort of doing that maintenance work nonstop?
Yeah, so the time that was spent, doing troubleshooting on unplanned outages that we had in the old environment is purely now available for us to modernize things. We've been Pace customers for a very long time, and we have also taken advantage of the Tyler investment assessments that are available to us.
Right.
So we recently completed our finance investment assessment just a couple of weeks ago. We've got our HR investment assessment scheduled, and we are really looking forward to walking out with a concrete list of these are the 10 major workflow and system changes that we want to do to modernize things for all of our customers. And we're going to start taking a look at prioritizing those and starting to do implementation projects on everything. So the time that was spent keeping the old system alive and going, and testing updates and just making it work for our basic needs is now being spent on modernizing and really analyzing where we want to go from an automation and workflow perspective.
Yeah, we love to hear that, because those assessments, I think, are a real big pride point here at Tyler. So that's great to hear that you're undergoing those. Looking at the broader picture, how is the phased approach that Redondo Beach took? So this idea of walk before running, right? Where it's like you're not overnight flipping a switch, but it's a phased out approach. How has that prepared Redondo Beach for future process automation or AI enabled capabilities in your view?
So I feel like that's a very natural progression. You absolutely need to walk before you run. We were in a state where our current environment was no longer sustainable. So
Sure.
Fixing the infrastructure piece of it was key. The fact that we also did the version upgrade to current as part of it really put us in a place where we can start looking at implementing some more of these more modern workflows. Some of these workflows that I'm talking about are features that have been in the product for years that we had simply not implemented at our city. So now we've got the door open for that. And I feel like that's our current we need to walk before we run gate is, we need to get the automation that's currently available to us in place, so that as Tyler adds more and more AI features into the platform, we can start taking advantage of them. At the moment, and several of the proposed AI features are just simply not available to us because we're not using that particular modular feature. So
Sure.
we're working with our departments to take that next step to get their workflows current now that the environment is current, so that we can then look forward to AI.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the Tyler Tech Podcast. The National Association of State CIOs, or NASCIO, has released its top 10 priorities for 2026, and they're as relevant as ever. AI at number 1 for the first time, cybersecurity is holding strong, and the focus doesn't stop there. Cloud, modernization, accessibility, data, and more are all top of mind for state CIOs.
And Tyler has a companion to that list, the State CIO 2026 Priorities Playbook, to help agencies take the next step from strategy to execution.
You'll find real case studies, honest insight into where progress stalls, and practical first steps across all 10 priorities.
It's free, it's actionable, and it's ready for you right now in the show notes.
Go download the State CIO 2026 Priorities Playbook and start turning priorities into progress.
Now let's get back to the Tyler Tech Podcast.
I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the community and culture being such an important aspect of Redondo Beach as well. But how has modernization helped the city maintain its unique character while still improving that operational performance?
If you're unfamiliar with it, you should go to Redondo Beach. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Redondo Beach, if when you think about the beach cities in Southern California, you think about Santa Monica, very, very affluent, tons of money have been put into the waterfront. They have, they have the nostalgic pier that's down there. You look at Manhattan Beach. Manhattan Beach is on the beach, covered in $15 to $20 million houses. That's what lines the beach. Redondo Beach has completely and totally preserved its charm from 50, 60 years ago. So our waterfront has our iconic pier. It is a triangular shaped pier that you can literally walk circles on if you like. We have our international boardwalk, which is down at the waterfront. We have an artificial seaside lagoon, which is a great place for families to go. We've got, the King Harbor Yacht Club. We've got the King Harbor down there. We are it. The other thing is very cool about the city is that we actually have a harbor patrol facility that is integrated with the city's fire department that runs out of the Redondo Beach Harbor as well.
Okay.
So, it's not lined with mega mansions. It's got its charm. It's got its nostalgia. And, that, that's a physical thing that you see when you drive around the city. It's like, that is preserved in the people that work for the city, and our elected officials have a very strong sense of ownership and home and historical preservation that, it translates into the work that we do. It's very interesting. So we are in the midst of doing a large document digitization project, an electronic, workflow modernization process for, bigger than just Tyler to cross all of our departments. We're going down to our old vaults, and we've got building permits from 1908, handwritten on index cards. We've got cutouts of newspapers of mayoral proclamations that happened in the 50s.
Wow.
We have all this cool, nostalgic things preserved that we are now developing modern workflows and digitization methods to preserve and keep around and keep available for the public for years to come.
Yeah, sounds like a bit of a domino effect
Yeah.
happening. You see that modernization happening, and
Yeah.
it kind of works its way across the board. Really, really cool. Gonna have to find my way to Redondo Beach at some point in the future. Now, to kind of wrap things up, for other municipalities managing complex operations, limited resources, what advice would you give them when thinking about cloud migration and modernizing critical systems?
That's an interesting one. So one thing that I'm being very cautious about is with AI becoming the buzzword that it is in the last couple of years, the thing that I'm being very cautious about is you don't just want to go get some of that AI stuff. You need to have concrete business deliverables, tasks, goals that you are trying to accomplish, and then go try to take a look at the technologies that are out there. I mean, you can walk around a conference like this. Every single booth that you stop at is going to have some form of AI that they're looking to sell you.
Yeah.
And it's really important to come up with your strategy based on your business needs as opposed to allowing the tools wag the dog. My counterparts, the department heads in other areas, they're attending similar conferences as well. They're relative to their own environment, and they've got their vendor fairs that have 20 different vendors that have technologies that you're trying to sell you. And it's very easy to fall down the path of falling in love with a single technology that, performs a single purpose or task without thinking about the big picture. So, Tyler's got a building and planning permit module that is available to us. We have a third-party software that does that.
Yeah.
And while you're likely never going to get all of your counterparts to agree to have everything live in one ecosystem, a conscious decision needs to be discussed and made when you are looking at software products of, do the benefits of going down another path outweigh the benefits of having something that's native and integrated into your ERP platform? And I find that a lot of the things that we are troubleshooting, especially on the financial side, are typically going to be integrations with third-party products. Oftentimes, third-party products where Tyler has a solution available that we don't have implemented.
Yeah. So kind of understanding where you're at, assessing and understanding, do we need that connected system in place? How do we modernize this? Kind of thoughtfully.
And just thinking about how it's going to work in the big picture with the rest of your enterprise systems for the city is very, very important.
Yeah. That's great advice. Mike, thank you so much for being here. And again, congrats on the TEA win.
Thank you.
So well deserved. And it was so great to hear a little bit more about Redondo Beach and the work being done there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
As we heard today, modernization in government isn't just about moving to the cloud. It's about creating the foundation that allows everything else to improve. For the city of Redondo Beach, California, that meant shifting from aging infrastructure and heavily manual processes to a stable, secure cloud environment that reduces downtime risk and frees up a small IT team to focus on innovation instead of maintenance. Mike shared how that change has already improved reliability and opened the door for rethinking long-standing workflows, many of which are now being modernized for the first time in years. With that foundation in place, the city is now better positioned to take advantage of automation, investment assessments, and emerging AI capabilities in a more intentional way. If you'd like to learn more about the solutions discussed in this episode, check out the show notes for additional resources. We'd also love to hear your feedback. Fill out the listener survey linked in the notes or reach out anytime at podcast@tylertech.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show so you never miss an episode. For Tyler Technologies, I'm Josh Henderson. Thanks for listening to the Tyler Tech Podcast.